So good morning everyone. I'm Elora Rusiana and my partner is Miss Nelfa Nepomuceno, but currently Miss Nelfa Nepomuceno wala siya internet connection, so I am the one who speak here our lesson for today. Let's begin our topic for today. So first is my topic is about the most essential learning competencies, or which is called MELCs. So a part of this basic education learning continuity plan, or BE-LCP, is the 60% reduction of learning competencies found in the K-12 curriculum guide from 14,171 competencies listed into a K-12 curriculum guide to 5,689 most essential learning competencies. So one of the common problems that teachers meet is an overcrowded curriculum. So there is so much to cover. The teachers tend to the mile wide inch deep teaching, which is the reduction of the number of competencies, may lead to more focus in teaching. So the reduction of number of competencies may lead to more focus in teaching. It means that teaching should focus on essentials, because the key of success is doing less. So the reduction of the learning competencies, the most essential, is a thing surely welcomed by both teachers and students. Next is the various curriculum delivery models, or is obviously the various curriculum delivery modes is a delivery mode is a contextualized in the its learning continuity plan, since schools and communities are differently situated. The choice of the learning delivery modality of schools will depend on the local COVID-19 situation, as well as access to certain learning platforms. So there are 5 modes in the various curriculum delivery modes, include the online learning, alternative delivery mode, distance learning, homeschooling, and lastly is the alternative learning system. Online learning. So in the online learning, which is the only one delivery modes among all others in this new learning environment, so the BECED directed field units to determine the most appropriate combinations or strategies of learning delivery of every locality, taking equity concerns into considerations. But most of concerns are connectivity and accessibility, lack or poor internet connection in school, access for teachers and students, availability of equipment such as computers, smartphones, printers for both teachers and students. Next is alternative delivery mode. So it refers to the non-traditional education program recognized by the BECED, which applies the flexible learning philosophy and curricular delivery program that includes a non-formal and informal sources of knowledge and skills. 3 accredited ADMs are modified in school and off-school approach, or MISOSA, enhanced instructional management by parents, community, and teachers, or E-IMPACT, for primary education. So these are the alternative modality was developed to address the problems of seasonally absentee learners and congested classrooms in schools. Next is distance learning. Modes of education include deliver educational content, online learning, digital audio through radio, and television. So there used to be School on the Air, which is the COVID-19 crisis. The Philippine government offered government-run television and radio stations as platforms for delivering lessons. Next is the homeschooling. It's another flexible learning option recognized by BECED. It is, in fact, this is not only stopgap solution in times of crisis, but based on the policy guidelines released by BECED, homeschooling provides learners with access to formal education while staying in and out of a school environment. It is meant for learners in unique circumstances, such as illness, frequent travel, special education needs, and other similar contexts. Homeschooling is not the same as home-based schooling. It is much more than using the home as setting for schooling. Alternative Learning Systems, or ALS, is a parallel learning system in the Philippines that provide practical option to the existing formal instruction. When does not have or cannot access formal education in schools, ALS or alternate or substitute. ALS includes both the non-formal and formal sources of knowledge and skills. For example, sa ALS, kung stop ka sa pagka grade school nimo, enroll ka ALS para ma-continue ka sa imong pagka-eskwela. Example, at the age of 21 or 20 ka, then stop ka high school, makaskwela ka balik. So, mo na siya ang ALS. So, two major programs on ALS that are being implemented by the Department of Education through the Bureau of Alternative Learning, such as Basic Literacy Program, Continuing Education Program, Accreditation, and Equivalency. Next lesson is lesson 8.4. So, curriculum response of higher education for teacher education amid the pandemic and beyond, which is the COVID-19 global crisis has resulted to unprecedented challenges economically, socially, politically all over the world. Social distancing will still have to be observed even when quarantines are lifted. Traditional classroom face-to-face delivery will pose risks of contamination. Next is the teacher education curricular response to the COVID-19 pandemic and beyond. So, curriculum modification is a process of making adjustments to existing programs in higher education, specifically teacher education, in order to respond to the needs of the learners amid and post-pandemic. Number 1. Focusing on the essentials, mapping the needed and injury outcomes in the recommended and reading curriculum. So the challenge during the pandemic is how to create a balance between relevant basic competencies for the students to acquire and the teacher's desire to achieve the entire outcomes of the curriculum. So to solve this challenge, the teacher needs to revisit the existing curriculum and analyze the outcomes of the program or the course. So the mapping of the course outcomes should be done to determine the needed and enduring outcomes and which outcomes should be emphasized. Needed outcomes are desired to knowledge, skills, and values that are required to learn higher concepts. Enduring outcomes are competencies that are necessary not just for succeeding in a certain topic but are useful beyond a single unit for the study. So, they are knowledge, skills, and values that have overarching applicability in a real life situation. So, in curriculum, In curriculum modification, enduring outcomes can be given emphasis. Identifying and mapping the needed and enduring outcomes can also shed light on overlapping so the teacher can decide which competencies will be retained or merged. Next is the rearranging of the college course offerings. Another way of modifying of the curriculum during the pandemic is to rearrange the course offerings. So, for example, the theories and concept courses that can be delivered online may be offered in the first 2 years, while face-to-face delivery is not yet possible due to risks of infection. So the laboratory-based field study and practicum courses can be offered later when face-to-face modality is already feasible. Next is the offering elective cognate courses that relate to the pandemic. In the global health crisis, it is an imperative that the curriculum be adjusted by offering courses that are needed to survive and thrive amidst the challenges of the pandemic. Some of proposed elective courses that are deemed essential, especially in the teacher education programs, are the following: change management, disaster risk management, flexible learning and teaching strategies, resilient education, alternative assessment, and so on. So next is the modifying the thought of curriculum. Curriculum is another way of modifying the curriculum and ensuring learning continuity during the pandemic is the implementation of multiple learning delivery modalities. It is considering that face-to-face modality is not feasible. Teachers may consider flexible distance learning options like correspondence, teaching, module-based learning, project-based, and television broadcast. Next is the modifying the assessed curriculum. So adjustments on the assessment measures can also be considered amid the pandemic. So it is authentic assessments have to be intensified to ensure that competencies are required by the learners. So in the process of modifying the curriculum amid the pandemic, it must be remembered that initiatives and evaluation tasks must be anchored on what the learners need, including their safety and well-being. The topic is from Nelfa Nepomuceno, which is the curriculum considerations. The context of teaching and learning. So, since the World Health Organization has declared the pandemic time in March 2020, so everything has changed, including the people's ways of life. So, education as a human right has to continue despite this pandemic. Thus, curriculum delivery appropriate to context should be given a more serious thought by educators and teachers. The context. So, based on initial scientific studies, COVID-19 is a rare disease which is caused by a new virus. By the nature of the virus, the WHO issued fundamental guidelines for everybody to follow to avoid its contamination and transmissions. So these are wash hands, wear face masks, keep distance, practical health etiquette, do exercise, eat healthy food. So another is a general health protocols to be followed. stay at home, keep distance, wash hands, and wear face masks. Next is the learners and the teachers. So like all the learners, college students are diverse in reference to their readiness to learn under the pandemic. So teachers' education institutions are TEIS are spread all over the country, and there are more than 1,200 of these institutions. So before pandemic, students come from diverse backgrounds based on geographical location, economic status, schools in attendance, and many more. Likewise, the teachers are also coming from similar contexts. Because of this diversity, it can be said that to shift from face-to-face to online or flexible learning may be difficult for both the learners and teachers. Thus, the choice of delivery must be appropriate. Appropriate teaching delivered during the time of pandemic and beyond. So, what kind of teaching delivery may be appropriate for the learners and teacher context? This is a very difficult question to answer because there are several factors to consider aside from the learners and teachers. So below the examples of delivery modes which may be utilized for flexible learning relative students and teachers with availability of the internet connectivity. So in summary, teacher education curriculum responds to the pandemic in many ways. Some strategies used to modify curriculum to address the crisis for education of pre-services teachers to continue its implementation are focusing on the essentials, rearranging of the college course offerings, offering of elective of or cognate courses, modifying the taught curriculum, and modifying the curriculum considerations should include context of teacher and learning. 2 is the learners and the teachers. And lastly, appropriate teaching delivery. And that's all. Thank you.